I would say that the common theme we have all spoken about is that of digital, and that continues to be true in our case as well, in our industry's case as well. When we talk about digital, we can look at digital through multiple lenses. And one of the lenses that I would use in the context of our industry is what I would call end-to-end digital versus assisted digital. So an end-to-end digital process is where the customer on his own goes to the website and buys a product without the assistance of an agent or a relationship manager from the bank. So if I have to talk about the trends, the unassisted direct digital purchases have seen a sharp uptick on their own. Given that what Alok spoke about, the need for a product like life insurance gets even more salient in the minds of the customers when they see something like a pandemic in front of them and all across. So on its own, digital sales have gone up. The second part in our industry's context is what is called as assisted digital. So what assisted digital means is that it's not a paper-based process, it's a digital process, but the customer needs a bit of a hand-holding from a salesperson or from an agent or from a bank relationship manager, etc. What we have seen is that entire process of assisted digital sales has seen a lot of focus in the immediate past. The reason for that is that traditionally you might have had processes that you thought were digital, but when the rubber hits the road and you do not have access to your office, do not have access to the branch, then you may realize that a part of the process that you thought was digital actually had a physical dependency. It was never coming up. So what has happened in the context of our industry with this pandemic and the closure of the offices, etc., is that all those parts of the processes which were perceived to be digital but not really digital, they have got a lot of focus, and a lot of innovation has happened in the processing of those types of transactions, so that even those aspects of the end-to-end journey that had a dependency on the physical channels is being addressed to be serviced through digital. When you look at the customer acquisition, I would again divide customer acquisition into multiple phases. In life insurance, a lot of our sales happen through our partners, which may be banking partners and other corporate agents, etc. So we have to look at the journey of customer acquisition, which begins from a digital campaign that we might have done. And the campaign brings the customer to our banking partners and other partners. And those partners sell the product in association with our sales teams. And that is the pre-sales process. And the sales process begins where the customer documents and other things are collected and customer consent is taken, and end-to-end processing of the entire transaction is done. In this entire process, if I have to talk about the changes that have happened from a customer acquisition perspective, we can see a lot of trends. For example, the first change is that the importance of digital partnerships has gone up. So we have partners which have a physical channel as their primary strength, and we have partners which have digital distribution as their primary strength. So the importance of digital partnerships in a world which will probably see less of physical interface in the future, the importance of digital partnerships has gone up. If you look at the next part of even physical partners, how do you enable digital for those physical partners? That has gained in importance. So how do you train the people who are there at your partner's end? So I was talking to one of my partners just 2 days ago, and he told me that he had a big dependency upon finding a space and finding trainers and going to multiple geographies to train the team to sell a certain type of a product. Now, with this evolution where everybody is comfortable with Zoom, the type of rollout he could see of the products in multiple geographies at the same time saw a dramatic uptick, because those trainings that earlier had a travel dependency and other logistics dependency could just be done on a Zoom call. So one important thing from a partner perspective is that the customer acquisition training can be delivered through digital manners and digital channels. A lot of innovation has happened for the same purpose on digital training content. How do we deliver training in the digital world versus in the physical world? That has seen a change. So whether it is partner employee or our own employee, the digital training process has made things faster, cheaper, better in this immediate aftermath. When we come to the next phase of customer experience itself, a lot of those aspects of customer interface where we would personally go and sell to the customer, those have been digitized. So how do I explain the contours of a product in a digital interaction model? That has become more and more important, and that has led to some level of gamification, some level of virtualization of our collaterals, so that customer can understand what we are talking about our product in a simpler format, even when the physical interface with the agent or the salesperson is not there right now. The next part, once the customer has accepted that, yes, this is the right product for me, how do we accept the customer documents? How do we accept the payments from the customers? That has also seen a lot of digital innovation. So the end-to-end journey the customers can complete on digital platforms. When we talk about our own sales teams, we need to incentivize our sales teams, and we need to make sure that they have access to the right information at the right time, so that digital tools that are available to the salespeople, they have seen a lot of innovation. When we talk of incentivizing our sales teams, the way we incentivize, the way we nudge our sales teams to sell. Now, it is not an office environment where the supervisor says, okay, go and do this. The digital nudge process, digital personalization process for the sales teams, so that they know what they have to focus on, has also seen a lot of innovation, which is what we call hyper personalization of incentives, as well as a daily task sheet that the salesperson has to work on. In my opinion, customer acquisition is not divorced from customer servicing as well as claims in our industry. So what we have done is, in the immediate context of lockdown, we enabled multiple servicing channels that could service the needs of the customers digitally, and we made sure that the customers were aware of them. We also made sure that our teams could work effectively from home to service the customers. Our call centers could work virtually. Even claims processing, to the extent that was possible for the most common types of claims and the most frequent types of claims, we digitized. So the customer, before buying the product, needs to know that the servicing will continue and the claims will continue, and that also be ensured. So when I'm talking about digitization and customer acquisition, as you could see from my conversation, we have seen changes in the entire life cycle, even pre-sale, post-sale, and even at the time of partner acquisition, who ultimately sells our products.
So a couple of things on acquisition. I think everybody has said in details, but I'll just probably like to put it much more in a thematic format. So two things that have changed on acquisition. First is that earlier acquisition used to have peaks and troughs, largely dependent on face-to-face, and therefore the month-end pressure and stuff like this. With COVID, you see consumers being online all the time. So actually, if you notice today, most organizations need to build a always-on acquisition model, right? And to have always-on acquisition model, especially in the digital world, it has to be backed a lot by insights and data, right? The second thematic change which is happening is that we all need to have an acceptance of a no-contact future. Whether it is face-to-face with two people sitting across the table signing documents, or it could be sometime getting even into a retail space and doing things a little differently, right? And when you have a no-contact future, especially in a acquisition journey, how do you build the tenets of trust, safety, and controls, especially in a BFSI industry where a customer or a prospective client will look to a solution? Most of us must have had our children take courses on Zoom, and the whole security aspect on Zoom initially became a concern, especially with young children. So similarly, I think in BFSI acquisition, as the consumer trends are changing, we need to get acceptance of a no contact future. We need to realize that trust, control, security will become key. Okay, no, I'm saying more and more consumers are actually looking for more relevant things, right? Gone are the days that you can actually do spray and pray. Most of the consumers today, all of us have gone even into picking into as simple as what kind of vegetables we are eating, right? So there is a very big sustainable consumer behavior change that is going to come in the future, and that will become very important in the messaging in the acquisition that we are going to do, right? So today, for example, if I do acquisition of wealth products, or investment product, it might not be just about giving you instant returns in the short term. It can be actually about meeting your long-term goals, and those goals actually might have changed for a lot of people given the situations that we are in. The other thing which has changed from an acquisition perspective is that everybody has got into bite-size content, or a micro moments. I don't have time for a lengthy conversation of 1 hour, because I'm not meeting somebody face to face. Beyond 2 minutes, even on a Zoom call, all of us can get distracted if we are not actually having the right conversation. So again, realizing that the luxury of getting people's attention is becoming much and more difficult is a critical aspect on acquisition journey. So from our perspective, few things that we are looking to change is the way, on the yardstick, that are we being relevant to our prospective clients as we put together the messaging. Are we actually doing it in the right manner? Are we actually, even for our sales force or RMs, are we developing content which is more in the moment, more micro, more bite-sized than actually long playbooks and, long sales dockets? The third thing, of course, is, using a lot of data. I head the data and analytics function, so I see the beauty of it, especially for internal acquisition as well as external acquisition. And I feel that using data, digital, and technology, these are the three mediums which will, take the organizations forward. The agenda for most of us have become, much more, relevant now. Earlier, you will try to get things prioritized, but today, I think everybody knows that this is the way to go for any industry to go forward. Regulators are also looking at it from that perspective, so that's a good sign. So I think that, in a nutshell, for me, is the change in acquisition that I'm seeing in BFSI.